Happy Wednesday, everyone.
It's a Wednesday for me this time, too.
It's a Wednesday, but we have a special announcement. We're actually in Portland. Not only are we in Portland, I am facing in person one Zeb and one Ross. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Fantastic. How are you?
Outside of these technical delays, not so bad.
Not bad. We're in the same city and we're on the same day.
In the same room. In the same room. In the same time zone, which is.
If I was so inclined, I could touch you guys.
Reach out across and touch the person next to you.
We'll see how the night goes.
Yeah, the night is young. We're staying up late. We're starting a little bit later, but that's okay.
Because there's a few bars in Portland.
Yep.
Couple corner bars.
Working class city, working class people. They need to unwind. That means beers and booze.
They're trying to get Amazon to come.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure every other city is too, but.
There's a lot of cities going. We don't want jobs. We don't want high-tech jobs. We don't want Amazon. We don't want Expedia. We don't want
Amazon's saying 50,000. They're going to put 50,000 jobs into some city. Every city needs to present their proposal. Why should we come to your city?
That's just like trying to stroke their own egos. Like, oh, these suckers, they all want us. They've already decided it's going to work.
It is going to work. I mean, that's a lot of jobs. But we're not here to talk about Amazon. We're not here to talk about booze.
This isn't Triple B.
No. We're in the Triple B location. But this is the Seahawks Fan Table Podcast. I'm Sam. With me, as always, is Zeb, who is back. Thank you very much for getting healthy. And Ross, who teleported from Tokyo. Yeah, teleported. It's a great thing.
Tokyo to Portland via SeaTac.
Yes, it's a magical thing. But we're here to talk about the Seahawks, guys, and the horrors that is Seattle playing in Lambeau continues. Seahawks have not won in Lambeau since 1999. We're talking about the first year of the Mike Holmgren era. That's 18 years and numerous trips there. It wasn't so bad, but this is according to the stats out there. So thank you, Twitter. 4 of the last Game 1s of the season, the Seahawks have scored 15 or less points. They've gone 2-2. In the games that they have scored more than 50 points, they've gone 1-1. So the Seahawks have not the best record.
Pretty notorious for starting slow. Even pre Pete Carroll, it was always kind of a
yeah.
I think it's embedded in me. I can't expect the Seahawks to come out and just win.
It's embedded in my mind, like all during the Holmgren era, that was always explained away because, like, there was like the mantra every week, like, well, the first 25 plays are scripted. Well, the first 25 plays.
Which honestly, who loves to hear that, especially when you don't do anything with the ball in your scripted plays?
Like some games you only get the ball like 54 plays, or like half of your plays are the opening script.
Well, under Holmgren, we were moving the ball and scoring on scripted plays.
Well,
yeah,
move the ball backwards.
I think it was the Super Bowl year, 2005, was the season that we scored opening drives.
We scored on every opening drive and like every closing drive of the half.
Yeah.
Like out of like 14, it's like because it was the first half and the second half, they would score the ball, not counting times where they would just wind out the clock.
Yeah.
But and
that was cool because remember there was a left guard and a left tackle on the field at the same time.
Yeah,
and they were both NFL caliber.
I mean, that's kind of the hot topic of the day is the offensive line. We'll get to that, but we do have some positives out of a loss, as much as you can expect. The new additions on the D line, because of a phantom punch, our rookie corner got to play a lot.
Yeah,
he had a lot of tackles, but he looked good. I mean, at the times, we're talking about like one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, and he didn't get totally abused,
right,
which is always a plus.
He was safe.
Exactly. But yeah, that offensive line and the refs. I think those are the two things that really stood out to me. You don't want to always blame the refs on a bad game, but there were some very questionable ticky-tacky calls. And there's some blowhards out there. We're talking about the big talking heads, like Jason Whitlock, who said that we were robbed of a win because of the refs.
Wow.
And I'm looking at Ross.
We didn't score a touchdown.
Well, we were robbed of a touchdown.
The defense was robbed.
Right. But that doesn't rob us of a win.
Yeah, I mean, the offense. If you don't score an offense that's a touchdown, you don't really say you deserve a win. Right?
Yeah.
And what did we? It's kind of like the 2005 Super Bowl. Like we weren't robbed of the Super Bowl, but at the same time, you can't say we outright just won it either. I mean, like it's one of those like, hey, if the refs had no influence in the game, I'm not sure how it would have gone. Is the best you can say.
Right.
And what I'll have to say is, what I love about being in the room while we're podcasting is I can see Ross's expression change as we're talking. I know something's winding up. He's gonna let something fly, but this is quite a joy. We should start doing like video feeds of each other just so we can see Ross's expression.
We could do that.
We could do that.
Good.
We need the technology.
We have the technology.
Well, we might need to help people with the technology.
You can probably do that. Look that up if everybody really wants to see my pained expressions when people try to be a little positive.
Well, that's okay, because that's actually topic number one. We're going to roll a little bit quicker than we normally do, but topic number one, longtime Seahawk fans may be used to this roller coaster, but when do you lose faith? Ross, I'm going to start this off with you because I want to see your face while this is going. I wish I had a video showing this to the people that watch this later on or listen to us later on, but what do you think?
I mean, like, I think a few weeks ago or a month ago we talked about a little bit about the phrase like "in Carroll I trust her," and so I trust, and what does it mean? And maybe we
I personally hate that phrase.
And and you made me think about it, and like it gets to the point where yes, Pete Carroll has the system. He got to the Super Bowl twice, and the system's in place, but then you start to wonder if people themselves sometimes understand their own systems, or if they start focusing. Or you've got like a system in place and maybe you're misvaluating which got you to the Super Bowl to begin with. And I really, really feel that sometimes life will teach you the wrong lessons. And to be really, really divergent, like Titanic's captain back in the day, obviously, one of the reasons they hit the iceberg was he didn't really understand how long it was going to take his ship to turn because he had learned all the wrong lessons from the previous ships he's been on. And I feel like Pete Carroll has learned this lesson that you can get away or trust people completely with offensive line to take it out of your hands, and basically, essentially, in the end, it's all going to be fine, and you can plug anybody in there. And I think he's kind of learned some of the wrong lessons, and now it's taking a long time to unlearn the lessons. And so, I still trust Pete Carroll a lot, but I do think that he needs to start asking some harder questions about the offensive line, and we need to figure out what it is for real.
I mean, we're 8 years in talking about this offensive line for. What, 6 or 5 out
really
of the past
3. I mean, it's really 3, isn't it? 2 years in a game.
And in that whole time, they've won 10 plus games, made it to the playoffs, so.
Right. Losing faith, I don't know. I've been a Seahawks fan since 87 or whatever, and there's been some rough years, and I never fully lose faith, ever, I don't think. I always have that hope. But, and Pete Carroll and John Schneider and this regime has done a lot of really great things for us. But I am getting close to the point where that offensive line it's too much for too long. It's so glaringly obvious that that's our problem. Because to me, in this week 1 game, virtually everybody looked good to me. Russell missed some throws, but overall he wasn't too bad. He had the one fumble, but that's going to happen on occasion.
That's because he had a guy right in his face.
Yeah, but the defense played great. The running backs, when they had room to move, looked pretty good. The wide receivers all looked good. Everything looked good to me except for the offensive line.
Did Jimmy Graham look good?
No, he had a drop.
He had a pretty big drop.
Again, that's going to happen now and again.
It's going to happen, but I don't think it is supposed to happen. I know what you're saying. I don't want to step on your toes, but when you pay Russell Wilson what you paid him, and we all argue, he's elite, he's top 5, he's top 8, whatever. Well, then you don't miss Lockett when he's going to score a touchdown. You don't.
Sometimes
you want to be the Super Bowl MVP and you wanted to get back there, that's the play you have to make. When you have remember a few years ago when we did get to the Super Bowl, remember the game we were losing to the Rams, losing to the Rams. We had one good play the whole game, and that's when was it Tate?
Golden Tate caught a ball,
and we get the
starts
one long
John at the corner into the end zone,
and that's
gets
the
a
only
flag.
right, and that's the only reason we won that game. That was that play. That's what we had this past week, and Russell Wilson didn't have it this time.
Yeah, but to Wilson's defense, Tyler Lockett got held on that play, which again it goes back to the Packers played a game that gave them that advantage.
He got held on that play.
Yeah, I mean, and this is not to say that he shouldn't make that throw, but
he has to make that throw. He has to make that throw. Jimmy Graham is your star tight end. You're paying him like $9 million. It's a huge part of the cap.
And I think that's probably the problem, though. The problem was they had to play perfect on offense because their offensive line was such garbage.
Yeah,
I think that you drop a ball, you shouldn't drop a ball. You're going to drop a ball every now and again. Everybody drops a ball every now and again. Russell's going to miss a throw now and again. He missed more than one last week. But to me, those are microaggressions, right? Like, you can have a mistake here and a mistake there if they aren't a common theme, if they're not something that happens all the time. But that offensive line is, I didn't watch in tape. I didn't break down every single play. I don't know if there were probably plays where Jokel was in the right place and did the right thing. There was probably plays where if Eddie made a good block, but they all got beat enough for it to matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that if the offensive line made a mistake every now and again, like Graham did and like Russell did, I think we're okay. I think we win that game by 2 touchdowns if we have Breno Giacomini and Paul McQuiston and Carpenter and who if we.
So has there been a mistake to let everybody go? And Harry, that's my question. Like, is the problem with the offensive line is that we don't have enough talent, and if the problem is we don't have talent, why don't we have enough talent?
Bingo.
And is it the philosophy or is it a philosophy? Is it a lack of ability, not of the offensive line? Is it the lack of the ability of the front office to identify talented offensive linemen? Because you're saying you think we would have won with Giacomini. They wanted Giacomini out. Like, it's not like he got $1 billion to play for the Jets, and he's not playing for them, by the way, either.
He got a nickel more than they were willing to pay.
Yeah, it was like a Canadian nickel.
Yeah, but it was more than.
It wasn't even a toonie.
Yeah, I mean, they're running these people out of town. Like, they're like, we don't want them, and they're bringing people in, and like they're not better.
I wouldn't say running out of town, but they're definitely not doing anything they can to keep them. But there's a reason for that.
Do they not know who's good? Do they legitimately look at the tape, they can find a good cornerback and they can find a good linebacker, but they don't know how to find a left guard. They don't know what to look for.
I think the issue is Matt Hasselbeck. We talked about this earlier today. Matt Hasselbeck was on the radio locally.
Was that today?
It was today. We were up very early on this trip down to Portland, but it was okay. It's well worth it. But Matt Hasselbeck said there is a huge problem with offensive linemen coming out of college. Everyone plays pistol. Everyone plays spread. Yeah. They don't know how to actually block.
Yeah, I watched the Rams score 39 points. The Rams scored 39 points.
Yeah. Cable has said as much that he doesn't need an offensive lineman because he's going to have to teach them from the beginning.
Right, that's why we keep converting the defensive linemen over because the more athletic players go. Then if nobody has a skill, then you want your athletic players to
right.
In.
And then
but I don't see anybody else doing that. I say everybody else scoring 39 points.
But Matt Hasselbeck also said that across the board, it was terrible offensive line play. And if you looked at the way that the Seahawks defensive line played against the Green Bay offensive line. Yeah, they had opportunities and they did better than Seattle did, but I wouldn't say it was like a record day for them.
Yeah, but you know what was different? They made adjustments.
They had
4 sacks in the first half and 0 in the second. They had 1 interception in the first half and 0 in the second.
But if you were to look at Aaron Rodgers' line,
I want to do this. Can I do this?
Can't see it. He's making a hand motion. We'll let you guess which ones he's making.
It's not that one.
It's exactly that one.
It's the other one.
But they were forced to make adjustments, and they're more veteran line, so maybe credit because
they were missing their starting left.
And for all we know, they're playing the best defensive. They're playing against the best defensive line in the league at this point.
Right.
For all we know,
and they still had no. They probably honestly, I mean, our defense was a monster. You held
Aaron Rodgers,
Aaron Rodgers
he
is
had to
not fun.
score. He had to score on a 5-yard play because we turned the ball over in
Gave
our
it
own
to
end
him.
zone. That's a tall order for any defense to do, regardless of how good you are. Then they score on what some people said the offensive line wasn't set. They subbed when they didn't allow. That's why Seattle had issued getting that 12th man off of the field.
Well, that's Aaron Rodgers' thing.
But that's the thing, and you have to prepare for it. And
he
he beat Seattle, I think, at least 2 times. He got him offside twice. So again, that's part of his game. But he would not say that Aaron Rodgers had a quote unquote great or average Aaron Rodgers game.
The Seahawks defense was awesome.
They did.
So why can't we?
They
have
did
at least
everything
that
they.
level of
They
offense?
did everything they could to keep him in check as much as he can keep a guy in
They
check.
lined a wide receiver up at running back, and then he had more success than our guys did.
But that's
And they were missing their starting right tackle.
it's a roller coaster. It's
And
week
they still-
one. I'm gonna quote someone here. And you're gonna tell me who it is. RELAX. Relax.
Alexander Hamilton.
Yes, the very
Wow.
same.
Good recall.
The very same. He said it. It was sung in Hamilton. Lin-Manuel Miranda. That was one of the title songs. RELAX.
So you don't have any worries about the offensive line. You think you still have this whole
I don't think it's an issue of. I don't think it's an issue of in
That's like question
Carroll we
number one.
trust because I don't believe in it. I think that's
you don't trust him to wiki.
no, it's definitely not. But I think it's part of the roller coaster of the Seahawks. And I think one of the issues is with that is there's going to be those ups and downs, and we're on the down. It's game one. It's
I
a
don't
game.
want a roller coaster. I want a monorail. I want a smooth ride.
We'd all love that, obviously.
I want a
Yeah.
maglev train to the Super Bowl.
Then
Please.
you have not been paying attention to what the Pete Carroll Seahawks are like.
I'm not losing faith because, yes, I'm used to slow starts. I'm used to waiting for the offensive line to come together. And it has. Even in the years last year and the year before where it wasn't very good, it got better as the season.
Of the last 16 regular season games, one this year, the last 15 last year, we've been held to no touchdowns, offensive touchdowns 4 times. 25% of our games. 25%.
That's awful.
It's too much.
That's barely a playoff team. That's not really a playoff team, except for those we did really, really well. But that's not really that. I mean, that's.
It's not good enough. It's just
we're
not
pulling
good
our talent from the same NCAA football that everybody else is, and if there's not enough talent for us, but then other people.
But there's not enough
I
talent
mean, I
for
agree.
us and the
Overall,
NFL.
that's a problem overall, but it's kind of one of those like Moneyball things. If you know that's the position that there's very, very little talent coming out of college, and then apparently you've got to go focus on that, and at the expense of going and getting like another like toy at a wide receiver.
But if the philosophy is we're going to build a strong defense and take advantage of crappy offensive linemen
And score
that we
3
get
field
deployed-
goals and then lose anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, at some point, I was watching that game and I was thinking, like, we're going to get the ball. We're going to get the ball.
You thought we scored 1 field goal. You thought that was the game, man.
Well, in the first
The
half,
defense is dominating, but it's the modern NFL. You can't hold Aaron Rodgers and the Drew Brees of the world out of the end zone the whole time. Wow.
that defense looks so good, though.
It does. It's, I mean, the defensive line is going to dominate.
All right, well, let's talk about that. That's topic number 2.
It is.
It is topic number 2. So, topic number 2 is, will the offense's lack of scoring ever turn the defense against them? Zeb, what do you think? I mean, we've talked about this in the drama. We've talked about this with the team. We've talked about this with all these reports that people still are continuing. We are maybe saying, hey, like, we're latching into this roller coaster. Is the defense going to do the same?
Well, I don't think that the defense would ever turn against the offense as like the players or the group unless there was 1 or 2 particular people who were like obviously the problem. But I think from their perspective, the people who are obviously the problem are probably more likely coaching staff. And I could see that being an issue. You know, Michael Bennett, Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, these guys don't mind talking. And if they get frustrated with the way that Darrell Bevel and Tom Cable in particular, but Pete Carroll also are running things, that they're not doing what they need to do to get an offense that can move the ball and score some points, then I could see those guys publicly even speaking on it. That wouldn't surprise me if we have 3, 4, 5 games where we struggle to score, we're 500 or not quite 500, It wouldn't surprise me to see those guys get vocal about it. Yeah.
I know this is gonna spark some facial expressions from Ross. What about you? Where are you gonna? What do you think about this?
Me?
Laser focus on his face.
Okay, so Connor and who? Mayweather.
Conor McGregor and
McGregor.
Floyd Mayweather.
Right. So that was a few weeks ago, right? And like Russell Wilson went down with Richard Sherman, right? Those are the two people I worry most about on the team not actually getting along. Like, I mean, Russell Wilson, robot and all but admitted earlier this offseason, like he and Richard Sherman like really aren't friends, right? They respect each other and they help each other do their jobs and they reach each other for their own families.
Did he say that? Did he really say that?
He essentially, I mean, he didn't say like I'm not Richard's friend. He didn't like. I'm paraphrasing, but I mean that's
how many offensive defensive people are?
I mean, and not in a negative. I'm not trying to be negative. It was a quite honest moment where I thought it was really, really mature, and I was really proud of Russell Wilson for like putting on the facade for him. And he actually said, like, look, yeah, but like, we don't have to like piss in each other's boots to play on each other's team. Like we respect each other, we do the job, and we play hard for each other, and we play hard for each other's families. Because that's we all want to win, and we all want to win for the right reasons. That's really awesome. And so like when they and then they actually all the key guys they all went to that fight together.
Yeah,
I nobody
Russell Wilson on a $100 bet.
Russell Wilson wore the weirdest clothes of all time. He was like in an NWA video or something. It was
Do you
weird.
know what was that? You know that's the bet though, right?
Was that what that was?
Yeah. So just to give you a little bit of context,
nobody gave me any
after the
context.
after the photo of Russell Wilson in the do-rag next to Doug Baldwin, he's making this gangsterish face. Ross sends it to me and to Zeb, and he was like, "What the hell is wrong with him?" And I don't remember what I wrote back to you, but I think I was like, "He's a dork." Like Russell Wilson's a straight up dork.
I didn't know there was a bet, man. It was like straight up like 1993, like Compton. Like, what the hell is he wearing?
There's still people that dress like that.
Yeah, but there's still people who wear like parachute pants, Tony.
But Doug Baldwin bet him $100 they wouldn't wear that to the fighting.
Oh, okay.
That's the story.
Okay, well, anyway, where I was going with that is like that kind of like Zeb said. I mean, like they're hanging out together, even though. So I don't really worry about the tensions, but I do worry that, I mean, like Richard Sherman has clearly said, I mean, he went after Bevel last year.
In a game?
Yeah, in the game. I'm like,
he went after
and after him, he's like, in the interview, he's just saying, like, he's talking about how, like, he was talking about the play call in the Super Bowl. I'm like, dude, like, don't let it go, but, like, use it as motivation, like, learn something, right?
Right.
And I'm worried that, Earl Thomas seems to take it in stride. He's like,
did you hear his comments?
Yeah, he said like it's been like this for 8 years, and why should today be any different, right?
Did you hear Doug Baldwin's comments?
I didn't hear Doug.
Doug is one of my favorite people to listen to talk.
Yes,
in the world.
He is now. Like 2 years ago, I was like,
oh, I've loved him ever since he came out and started speaking.
When he pooped out that football, I was like, I'm in love.
Yeah, well, I didn't like that. I'm saying I like to listen to him talk. I like his press conferences. I like his interviews. I like how articulate he is.
I feel like I'm listening to like Buddha talk now. When I listen to talk. I mean, like, he's always been entertaining, but now like he like at some point in those 2 off seasons ago, he sort of reached nirvana, and now he's like on this higher plane, and I just feel like I'm listening to wisdom when he talks. So
I think that's just him getting older. But going back to the topic at hand, like there is definitely concerns, and I don't think it will ever bubble out in the way that we would see maybe at other teams. Like Zeb alluded to, like, they're going to be frustrated, but they're going to keep it mostly in-house. Some things might leak out.
Richard Sherman's not going to keep it in-house. What happened when they cut
Case Williams?
Did he keep it to himself?
No.
He wasn't frustrated?
But
was he really frustrated, or was he tweeting because he was in support of Case Williams?
I think that's how you want to read it, depending on how you want to read it. I think we were all shocked.
I don't think it's either or.
We talked about that. But I think what it comes down to is Doug Baldwin, he said most of the money is spent on the defense. Our team is built on them. And I think that's true.
It's not true anymore, though.
It is true, though.
It's not true anymore. How much is Russell getting paid?
He's getting
How
paid.
much is Doug Baldwin getting paid?
Like an 8.
That's a lot. How much is Jokel get? Jokel's getting paid $8.6 million.
Yeah, but you've got the entire defense on second contracts except for your rookie corner.
Yeah, I mean the defense clearly makes a lot more money than the offense.
And this
Right.
is not to excuse lack of scoring, but what it is this team is built on defense. Now, the idea is maybe, hey, we want to build this really strong defense so we don't have to build a super high scoring offense. But the problem is, even without a super high scoring offense, you got to score. You can't score field
You
goals.
have to be moderately scoring.
Right.
When you've got like Russell Wilson, who we're supposed to consider a top 5 quarterback, when you've got Jimmy Graham, who's supposed to be a red zone machine and is a top 3 paid tight end.
Hey,
You've got Doug Baldwin, who's supposed to be like a top 10 wide receiver.
Doug Baldwin did his job. He caught all the balls. Jimmy Graham got interfered with. They didn't call
Jimmy
it
Graham
against
got
it.
8 yards on 3 catches.
Yes, I'm aware.
And he had a drop.
It's on my fantasy team.
And he had a drop at the end of the drive.
Yeah, that was a critical third down, and he had a terrible.
And it's a
game.
catch that he normally makes.
Right.
Almost always makes.
Right. But I would say that game was a bad game. It was not a favorable matchup once the second half started. Even the first half wasn't a favorable.
It's not a trend until there's 2 or 3 of them.
Right. This is
Or 4 out of the last 16.
the pattern is Seahawks suck game 1. That's the pattern.
You guys are probably going to be sort of warm and fuzzy.
Well, it's game 1. I mean, it really
You
is.
guys are going to be so odd. You guys are going to be like so much like I told you so when we beat the 49ers, but it's still.
Well, no, but here's the
49ers.
thing. Everybody thinks we're going to just wallop the 49ers now, and from what I saw last week, that's not necessarily going to be the case. So, going back to last year, if you want to consider this a continuance, then it does look like a overarching long-term problem. But it has been an off-season. We have a whole new offensive line. So, I'm willing to give them some time to see if they can figure it out
I'm just going to say one more thing before we move on to question number 3 about you're right. It's a brand new offensive line except for Justin Brett. But here's the thing, why are we surprised? I mean, who's playing left guard? He's a reclaim project. Like his last team, nobody wanted him.
Nobody wanted him, but someone paid $8 million, and Seattle wasn't the only bid.
Who was the team that drafted him? And what was the second? Oh, they didn't give him a second contract. And who's playing left tackle?
Now,
Obushi?
Right?
Yeah.
Was
Obushi?
What was he doing?
Odiambo.
And what was he doing 2 weeks ago? Riding the pine. I mean, we suddenly think it's going to be an acceptable offensive line.
He's been playing for a while.
I don't know if it's suddenly going to be an acceptable offensive line, but I think it could become.
He wasn't our best left. He wasn't our best left. He couldn't win the job over a basketball player 3 weeks ago, and now he's going to be an acceptable left tackle.
He wasn't competing for the left tackle until
You're
necessary.
right. And now he is our starting left tackle. It's not even a position he was competing for. And now we're starting him there, and we're surprised he's not going to be good there.
No, I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, I'm not
surprised?
I didn't hear any of us last week going, I bet they don't even score a touchdown.
Well, no, that's obviously extreme. That's an extreme situation.
Well, it's not that extreme. It happens 25% of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it happens 25% of the time. We go out there and we don't score.
It's
5
happened.
points. We scored 5. It's like the Mariners.
How far back does your history go when you want to start
17.
talking about percentages?
I'm just saying it's mostly. I mean, I'm just saying the past year it's been really, really bad.
It has. Even though towards the end of the season, it got better. Did it not get better last year? Towards the end of the season,
I want to say yes, but then those people that got better, they're not here.
Exactly. So I feel like we're looking at the exact same thing. We suck on the offensive line, and with time, if things go as they have the last couple seasons, it should get better. Now, is Odiambo going to suddenly be a Pro Bowl left tackle? Hell no. Very, very unlikely.
I don't want him to be pro level. I want him to be
acceptable.
But we talked about this. We said, hey, they were a bottom tier, bottom third offensive line. Probably, if you break it down, they were bottom sixth. That's pretty terrible in this NFL.
Yeah.
If George Fant were healthy, they're still probably
I don't think he's that good
bottom
either.
third.
That's the thing. There's not much drop off there, but at least he practiced the position. I want to say this. Can I say one more thing before we move on?
No, we're shutting it down.
Say one more thing. If you're gonna have this offensive line, you have to do things to help them, and they don't want to do it anywhere exactly because apparently, Russell Wilson's on his second contract, so we can't. They've shut down. We think the running game is so bad because the offensive line is so bad, but we don't run the read option anymore. and we need to.
I think
We're going to
this
talk a
goes
little bit
to
later on about like the pacing, I think, but I
Yeah.
think it's also you got to have like when you run a normal NFL offense, it's 12. You're playing 11 on 10. The defense has 11 guys. Offense really only has 10 because the quarterback doesn't count. Like he's not going to run the ball. He's just somebody who's going to dish the ball somewhere.
Right.
But when you run the read options, now 11 on 11. So there's no one extra guy on defense. And when your offensive line is that bad, I know they're afraid of Russell Wilson getting hurt and he's not 23 or 24 years old anymore, blah, blah, blah. But if you want to win, you can't play afraid. You just got to do what you got to do. Like Russell Wilson's got to run the read option for now, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you. And I think that's one of the things that we've talked about on the forum. I created a post about it. Check it out at hawkscast.com. And what it is the Seahawks want to be a ball control offense. They want to run the ball. They want to command the clock. They want to have this really strong defense. But they don't have the right offensive personnel. They really need to be running a spread offense. They've got a tight end that's better at receiving the ball, infinitely better than he is pass blocking or run blocking. And to his credit, he's gotten better. But their offense should be a more up-tempo style, but that conflicts with ball control offense. Their 3 scores, they averaged less than 3 minutes to drive. One of them, they started with under 55 seconds. They scored a field goal. The longest drive that they had that actually scored was just over 6 minutes. And then the second score that they had for another field goal to get within 8, it was like under 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was a minute 52.
So that's an issue, and that's a problem where Russell Wilson after the game in his press conference is like, yeah, I think we work out best when we go a little bit more up tempo. And it's not to say that you just change the entire philosophy and you go out and do all these things, but maybe don't run a bunch formation. Actually put all of your guys out there so that you give your chance to have a lane to throw the ball, do things. Matty from the 3-step drop, he wrote a lot about this. Coleman from 3-step drop has also talked about this a lot. We've talked to them online, and they're of this philosophy of like, look, we're not playing to our players' benefit. One of the things that Matt Hasselbeck said earlier was when the offensive line that he played with was really bad, Mike Holmgren would come into the quarterback's room, into the offensive coach's room and say, hey, heads up, no 7-step drops, no 5-step drops. He would eliminate plays from the book. And Matt Hasselbeck would have this, frustration build up and say, like, that's like 70% of our playbook is gone. What am I supposed to do as quarterback? And in hindsight, it says, that was probably the best. But if you're a competitor, if you consider yourself a professional like a lot of these guys do, that's a really tough pill to swallow.
Also, the defense catches up on that and be like, they're not going to have to defend the deep half of the field. You're not going to take even a 5-step drop. You don't have to hold a safety back.
Right.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. If you see a screen pass from Doug Baldwin or Tyler Lockett, you're going to think about the next time they give you that formation again. And if Seattle executes well, that's maybe what they need to do. And I think that's something we saw back in 2015 where Russell Wilson went off towards the end of the year. We haven't really seen that because he hasn't been healthy since that year.
He's healthy now.
Yeah.
It's going to get awesome.
All right. Well, we're gonna press along with this somber mood here.
It's gonna get awesome.
Get awesome. I have it on you guys' authority. It's about to get awesome.
All right.
Me too.
We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get healthy. But topic number 3, the Homer Corner. After a tough road loss, which Seahawk do you want to sit next to on the flight home, and who do you want to avoid? Ross, we're gonna give this one to you. This is your question, your topic.
I want to sit next to. I don't want to sit next to him. I don't want to sit next to Earl Thomas. I do not want to sit next to Earl Thomas there. I mean, he was pretty rational in his post-game comments, but the more he thinks about it, the more it's going to be in his head until he starts focusing on the next week. And you're like, that's a 5 or 6 hour flight back, and Earl Thomas is going to be barely coherent, and it's going to bring in sort of mystical weird things. And none of it's going to make any sense. But the whole point is, you think he's about to slice your throat because he lost. And I just cannot. You're not going to get to sleep. You're not going to get to eat. You don't want to sit next to Earl Thomas after a feel like that.
So the first thing that I think of with Earl Thomas, and this was in a game against, I think Seattle was playing Arizona. Marshawn Lynch had one of those crazy runs, goes down the field. There's this clip of the Seahawks bench, and you see Earl Thomas. He notices the play, and he starts running down the sideline, weaving through the field. He's actually the first guy to celebrate with Marshawn Lynch. And he just stares at him. Doesn't high-five him, doesn't hug him, just looks him straight in the eye.
Yeah.
That's essentially what you would be stuck with on the
but
flight
in
home.
a very negative way.
Oh yeah, a totally negative.
Yeah, but I who's the Magic player? Who's the Magic the guy?
He's not on the team anymore.
Oh, who's that guy?
He got burned by Kareem Hunt in the Kansas City New England game.
Oh, was that Cassius Marsh?
That was Cassius Marsh. Now,
Oh,
to his credit, he's a pass rusher who was 25 yards downfield covering a running back.
Yeah.
Right.
That was much for. I was trying to remember who that was. And that's why I was going to sit next to him there. But now he's gone. I think I'm going to sit next to Justin Bird. That dude seems like you want to talk to him because like he'll take responsibility, but he doesn't seem like the type to get really down about it. I just feel he's a mountain of a man. He seems like a mountain of like stability as well to me, just like emotionally. So I think I want to be next to him, and he would keep me like off the ledge.
Yeah,
I think so.
That's fair.
Yeah. Oh, that's. Oh
Yeah.
man, Cassius Marsh was the Magic.
he was.
Kind of cool. Like, you don't really want a guy in the locker room going Magic.
I don't think there was much magic.
Funny note about Cassius Marsh. He went to a Magic tournament, and the people that played against him said he had a terrible deck, but he was a super nice guy. He lost like very handedly.
Oh yeah. I mean,
He wasn't very good at magic.
Well, they didn't say he was
like, I guess I
good.
could fall back.
He
on
just said he
football.
didn't have a good deck, and I think that's part of this. The like you compose a
To
deck.
be a good collector.
Wait, don't you
Right.
have to like? That's like essentially how much money do you spend on your hobby, right? I mean, he's got a couple of dollars, I assume.
Yeah, but he
How
might
can
have
you
built.
not have the best Magic thing of all time?
Just get on eBay and type ultimate magic.
He might have-
Plus,
he
isn't
might-
Magic printed like a mile from VMAC? Just like go over to the headquarters.
Well, they helped him out when his cards got stolen, but maybe
Like,
maybe
literally,
the
it's like
but maybe
my
the
friend
deck he
works
wanted to
there.
run
This
wasn't
is-
like optimal. Like he wanted to run like some really crazy
I don't know
deck.
how it works. I played Magic once on a boat in Japan, going to Haggadah.
What happens in Haggadah stays in Haggadah.
What about you, Zeb? Who are you sitting next to? Who are you avoiding?
Well, here's what I would like. I think I would like this either way.
Cheerleaders don't count.
I want to sit between Michael Bennett and Doug Baldwin. But I think that's either way. Win or lose, whatever. That would be awesome.
That's just every day. That's like for your daily commute.
Right. I would just do that. I would just sit there. I would just live there and just see what's up with them. But I would not want to sit next to Richard Sherman.
That's a good answer.
Because you see how emotional he is, and if he's not in a happy state, I can't imagine he's much fun to be
and
around.
he's a chatty Cathy, so you're going to hear it. He's super opinionated.
Yeah, it'd probably hurt my feelings. I would probably
You-
Are you a sensitive man?
a little bit.
what would you think that Michael Bennett and Doug Baldwin would say on a flight?
I think Michael Bennett probably talks about whatever he talks about, no matter what has happened
Right.
in the game. You know what I mean? He probably is cracking jokes or whatever. And Doug, I would expect to be really focused on what's happening, what they got to do to improve it. I think it would be a good conversation.
I think he'd be like the 8-point path and have it. He would be. Okay, Doug is a really quiet, similar dude now.
He's still super intense though.
Yeah, but it's no longer like he's no longer like it's not like burning anger anymore. It's just like if you don't get it anymore, I'm beyond you.
Yeah,
I've transcended your comprehension.
he's Buddha.
If you don't exactly, man, like
Angry
you know,
Dog Buddha.
if you can't comprehend my 79% efficiency in catching the ball, then screw you.
What about you, Sin?
I'm starting it, and I always go back to him because he's on the team. But I want to hang out with Luke Wilson. Luke Wilson.
You got a real man crush on Luke Wilson.
I love him for his personality. I don't maybe love him for his football acumen, but that's okay. He's a Seahawk. He's on the team.
When he was on the bubble, you kind of freaking out.
No, because I told him like, look, I love him, but bye, Felicia.
That's cold.
But I know myself. Like after I lose, like after that game, it's the first game of the year. It means a lot. You want to start the year. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of mopey. I'm not sure what I'm going to do today. And make sure I'm nice to everyone. I don't think that like the game affected me that much. But it did. It was the first game. It was disappointing. So I need someone that's going to be able to kind of pick me up and, help me keep the perspective. Because I'm usually a pretty optimistic kind of guy, looking half full kind of guy. So Luke Wilson will bring that out of me. I think the guy that I want to avoid is Russell Wilson. As much as I love the guy, as much of a dork that he is like, dude, I don't want to talk about the film. I don't want to relive everything again and again and again. Like, we lost. Like, we'll take care of it on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Well, you know, because like literally, no exaggeration. By the time they got on the airplane, he was already like passing out the wide receivers like notes on San Francisco cornerbacks.
You know, that's part of the
like,
reason
dude.
why he's so great. That's why I think he is a great quarterback. But I'm just a dude. I don't like, dude. Slow your roll. That's what I would tell him.
I mean, like, it depends on your mentality. I can kind of see if that would help, right? Like, it's a really devastating loss.
Oh yeah, if I were a wide receiver, yeah, hit me up. Let's focus
like,
on the next game.
Like, just move on.
Next man up. But
as a fan, like,
a 5-6 hour flight of that.
Can I wallow in my misery for a couple hours? Russ?
But I also think Russell would probably stay positive the whole time.
Yeah, but like the same things that people say he's too corny, he's not real. After a loss, there are some people who can take it like, dude, just like leave me alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I mean, I'm not even one of those people who thinks it's funny. I think it's real. I think it's 98% real.
Oh no, I think it's real too. But there are certain people
Right.
that are going to think it's fake, and I think
And
that's why you'd say like, look, in that 2% time that I think you're not being real, I need you to just take a step back.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, dude, like I know you're legitimately like this, and it's awesome, but you're a better person than me, and I need 6 hours to like wallow in my misery because I'm not as awesome as you. I mean, you and Pete Carroll go over there and sing Kumbaya, as Russell Richard Sherman said, and I'm going to curse things out. And
Real quick. If you had to sit next to a coach and avoid a coach, who would you sit next to and who would you avoid?
I would sit next to Pete Carroll because I think he's very similar to Russell in that way. He's going to be very positive and already looking to what we can do to fix this and what's next. I wouldn't want to sit next to Daryl Bevell, and I'm not because of a win or lose situation, just because I don't think he's probably super boring and not fun to be around.
Yeah.
Because look at him.
Okay. I would not want to sit next to Cable.
He might get punched.
Yeah, he'd break your jaw.
There's like it's like multiple levels of not wanting to sit next to Cable. Like, yeah, like one, he might be so angry that he could just be physical with you, right? Like
in the wrong way.
When you
In
call,
the wrong
yeah,
way.
yeah, when you call a cabinet,
Is there a right way?
I'm not gonna.
With Tom Cable?
Tom Cable, I don't know.
What head gestures were you doing earlier today, Ross?
No, sorry, what? No, I'm not gonna say next to Tom Cable because like that just seems like life insurance probably doesn't cover that.
Dangerous.
There's no insurance that covers next to Tom Cable after a loss like that, right? I think I'd want to sit next to Bevel. I mean, yeah. I mean, first of all, it'd probably help you get to sleep, and then
He starts talking, just nod off right away.
right.
He starts quoting the Book of Mormon.
Is he Mormon? I'm not touching that.
Looks Mormon.
He looks Mormon. Are we allowed to say that? Can you say something? Anyway. No, but I think Daryl Bell, like, I want to say something because I'd want to pick apart his brain and I'd want to hear, like, just to satisfy my own curiosity, does he understand the problem? Does he actually acknowledge the problem? In his own mind, is there a problem? And does he have actual ideas on how to handle it? Or is he on the airplane going, well, next week I'm going to call that again. That's going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where he's at.
What if Daryl Bevell and Tom Cable completely disagree with each other, but they don't show it in front of Pete Carroll?
Yeah, so that's the thing. That's what I want.
No, I literally just thought of that right
So that's where I would go. I don't want to sit next to Pete Carroll because like it's Russell Wilson as a coach. Like, Pete, give me a few minutes.
So you don't want to sit next to those guys for the exact same reason I would want to.
But what I would want to sit next to is I want to sit next to Bevel and Cable in the same room and see what they say.
Has anyone ever seen them in the same room together? Maybe they're like evil twin, like opposites of each other.
No, because that would be awful.
What if that's it though? What if Pete Carroll isn't fixing the problem because he doesn't realize what the problem is?
I think that's a pretty tall order for the head coach not to see. That would be kind of saying that Pete Carroll doesn't understand his coaching.
the office except for Russell Wilson. Does he care?
I think it's just like, why isn't this working? And Bevel and Cable are in the back room just arguing,
Like they won't even talk to each other.
But here's what I would say about that is, what if Pete Carroll is saying, like, I'm the head coach, this is what you guys have to play with, this is what you have to instill, this is what I want you to do. You don't like it, quit. Yeah. They can't get jobs anywhere else. They've been, they've talked about it, but no one's offered them a job. So,
give him a job.
No one's offered them, no one's taken them.
I'd give him a job.
What kind of job?
In my office.
But I think that's what I would like to see. I'd like to see what is that conversation that goes between the assistant head coach, offensive line coach, and the offensive coordinator. What are they saying? I think that's the big tell.
Yeah, totally. I think you're right.
I reckon they communicate. I just don't think they. Sorry, I reckon they talk, but I don't think they communicate. Does that make any sense?
I think that
I
makes
think they
sense.
have conversations, and I don't think either of them hears each other.
But I think
it doesn't matter.
that potentially goes back to Pete Carroll saying, like, hey, here's a round circle, fit into that square peg.
Hey, buck stops at Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll's super optimistic. You guys can do it. I believe in you. Figure out a way.
But and they have
And then
And they
Cable and Bevel, good soldiers,
in the past.
do what they can.
I
Potentially.
know. I start to wonder if the problem is John Schneider. I said it.
Oh, that's a whole new podcast. We got to talk about that.
Somebody signs the contracts.
Someone just dropped a bomb.
Somebody signs us a contract. Somebody actually said, yeah, that guy that they don't want anymore, and they didn't sign a second contract, and it's a complete bust over there. We're going to sign up to $8.5 million. Somebody did that.
But wouldn't Pete Carroll then be like, no, he's not going to work for what we're
I think I always kind of assume that he gets like equal footing, but I think after 8 years into the relationship, I don't think it's like that right now. I think they.
So you
like,
think Pete just has to take what Schneider gives him?
That's not the words I would choose. I think like they agree philosophically, and that Pete trusts John to do that.
Yeah,
not like he's being imposed to these players. I think Pete Carroll turns
Pete's
to
like,
John
give me some
Schneider,
guys.
and John Schneider's like, no, this guy's good. And like Pete's like, oh, he must be good because John Schneider says he's good. And then he gets out there and like Tom Cable, and I wonder if it's like Tom Cable and John Schneider like with a little cabal saying like, oh no, these guys are good, these guys are good. It's like, no,
We need a tackle. What about this guy? Has he ever played tackle before? No. Sign him.
No, but have you seen him? Have you seen him rebound? Have you seen him rebound?
Have you seen his ass? He blocked everybody.
Can you see him like just rebounding Calais Campbell's helmet, man? Just like
He won ultimate frisbee multiple times in high school. So bring him in.
He can dunk over the goalpost.
He played football at college. He was on his intramural, flag football team, and played quarterback. So yeah, sign him as center.
All right. Well, let's bring this idea and concern to topic number 4
because the math works out.
So topic number 4 is: does the new 49er coach pose a threat to the Seahawks this season, if not when? And that leads into like, what kind of team are we going to have?
What's his name?
Mike Shanahan? Or is it Kyle? It's Kyle.
Kyle
Shanahan.
Mike's kid.
Mike Shanahan looks like the grandfather from King of the Hill.
Oh.
The guy with like no legs,
Okay.
small face, round, squinty eyes. That's Mike Shanahan.
Not one now, but when he was younger, God,
Mike Shanahan looks like Norman Bates.
You know what he looks like?
The original.
This won't mean anything to you guys, but I've already brought him up once today. It's our biggest fan. Mike Shanahan looks a lot like Tony Costanza's dad. Not like Tony Costanza, looks like Tony Costanza's dad.
Nice. Well, that's good.
Like, look it up.
Anywho, what's the question?
Does the new 49er coach pose a threat to the Seahawks this season? If not, when?
What do you mean by pose a threat? Like the worst he could do is beat us twice.
Right? No, he could be like on the roof with a sniper rifle right now.
You mean is he a threat? Is he a threat for us to lose those games?
Is he a coach that we should be concerned about? Because that's something that we haven't really seen.
Like when they signed Harbaugh, you thought like, oh, holy crap, they just got a real good coach. Now they could build a proper program, and they did.
Right. I mean,
when the Rams hired Fish, as opposed to like they were like, oh, great, we never have to worry about them as long as it stays there.
And, you see that with the Rams. They have a new coach as well. But we're playing the 49ers this weekend. He didn't have a great showing. He's got a really terrible roster.
Yeah.
But do they have they started this path to help them become what the Seahawks had become when they hired Pete Carroll and John Schneider? They hired John Lynch, a former Pro Bowl, potential Hall of Famer to some people.
Who seems to do a good job this offseason.
Hey, the one move he did was he just totally trade raped the Bears.
Yeah.
Like, they moved down one spot, get a bunch of picks, end up trading back with Seattle. 2 picks in the first round. That's a
They had a
great
good
job.
draft. They had a good draft strategy. They made some good moves. I don't give a shit about the 49ers. Like, I don't care. They don't matter to me.
How far they've fallen.
Yeah, I don't know.
That used to be the coolest ride. I think of all, and that was a cool ride.
It was a lot of fun. It was
It's the best
scary.
ride, like,
It was scary because they could beat us. That was the thing.
And it was even.
It was scary.
Who's that quarterback they had? What happened to that guy?
Smith or Kaepernick?
Kaepernick. What was that? What happened to that guy?
He took a knee, and some of them really rich white people didn't like it so much.
Amongst other things, apparently.
Yeah.
He hates kittens, too, I hear.
The worst thing that the 49ers can do to the Seahawks, or any other team can do to the Seahawks, is to beat them 3 times in one season. That's the worst thing they can do.
So that's the Rams, right?
So
That's pretty awful.
Is
that even like how far away is that from happening? Years.
Well, I guess what I'll tell you after Sunday. How about that?
Wow, you're afraid.
I'm not afraid. I sense
the fear in you.
I'm willing to accept that we looked bad on offense, bad enough that I don't think at this point I'm not confident that we're just going to beat shitty teams. Like, you know what I mean? Like because I'm with you in that sense.
Fear leads to hate. Fear leads to hate. Man. Fear leads to hate.
Leads to suffering.
Ridiculous.
Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
That's just so round.
I don't know. I know the 49ers looked pretty bad this last weekend. Do I think that they can bring that squad into the clink and beat us at home? Probably not. But if we win, 19-17 or something, then I'm probably thinking to myself, we're probably closer as quality of football teams than we would like to be or than we thought we were.
If we win 19-17, you're gonna take this as a positive?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was I totally.
Yeah, no, I may not have said that right. If we beat the 49ers 19-17 at home, then we're probably on a more level playing field with them.
Okay, so
we should be.
Okay,
yeah.
I see what you're saying. I totally took the word.
No, we should beat them by 2-3 touchdowns. Like if we score 30 plus and hold them to under 14, then I'll feel like, okay, that's where we should be. That might be the 11-5 Seahawks.
I mean, if it's 19-17, it's final proof there is no God.
That's all we need. But I don't know that their coach poses like they're gonna have to put together some good stretches of wins and some good seasons for me to feel like that team now has our number, or you know what I mean? Or when it comes to us playing them, that expecting to lose. I'm not at this point. I'm not scared of anybody named Shanahan, let alone Kyle.
Shanahan.
I mean, like, I don't really think you're doing a kid if you're using him Kyle. He has to be like another.
Should have named him Kylo. Kylo Shanahan.
So
Ben!
See, if his name was Kylo Shanahan, I'd be afraid of that. Dude, they're just going to be dark horses.
Kylo Shanahan.
I'm not really afraid of them. I don't really think. We're talking about the coach, but not.
Does he pose a threat?
He poses a threat to not to us. Like that, it's a tile to them. They all have an okay offense. I think he's going to ignore the defense. And I'm not a John Lynch believer. I mean, like everyone's like they had a good draft. They didn't have a good draft. A couple of players fell to them, and they pounced on it. But one of them's already heard, like, that was the book on him anyway. And that's what I said at that day. That's what I said on the day of the up. So this isn't hindsight. The day of the up, like, that guy's hurt. He's going to stay hurt. He's going to be hurt before the regular season starts. And lo and behold, he's hurt. So
Mr. Rossmus.
Yeah.
It's all
Swami.
It's the one. No. I suck at all kinds of drafts, but I can tell you when a team sucks.
So you're saying they suck?
Yeah, they suck. And John Lynch. I mean, like, John Lynch is a pretty good commentator. And, like, yeah.
He's not a commentator. He's Matt Millen.
Well, yeah, he's working on it.
Plus right now.
Well, no, to be honest, he's already accomplished more than Matt Millen ever has. Right? He drafted 2 players in the first round, and like one of them's actually played a game and did good. Matt Millen never drafted a game in the first round. He played good.
Did Matt Millen draft Calvin Johnson?
I want to
say no, but it might have been because he drafted like 8 guys in a row.
He drafted wide receivers like every year.
Yeah,
every Mike Williams,
like 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
it was like 4 out of 5 or something. It was really ridiculous.
He hit on Calvin Johnson if he drafted him.
I mean, I'm not sure he knew he was playing for real. I think he thought he was playing Madden
or fantasy.
He was playing Millen.
He was playing PPR fantasy league.
In any case, I don't. I don't see Kyle. I think Kyle Shanahan like has enough brains and can construct a good offense enough to get them like to 7-9 3 years in a row, and then he's out. I think John Lynch is going to really struggle like when he has to draft and things don't just fall to him, and he has to make decisions like that actually involve like real cap. The cap wasn't in a really bad position, right? But he doesn't know. He doesn't. You don't go for when you're a TV announcer. You don't have to know these things in depth that John Schneider's had to know for 8 years now. So I think they're a little bit in trouble. But
are we still talking about the 49ers? Because
that is going to be played this week. I mean, we can't ignore them. Who's there starting with 2 wide receivers? Do the House do 2? Exactly.
Curly is Curly a starter?
Yes.
I think Curly and
look at this way.
Like the 2 guys that can.
Carlos Hyde is the only guy worth drafting on that team, and that says something. If you only have one person on your team,
we're talking fantasy for those.
And I got him. He's on my team.
Did you start him?
Carlos Hyde.
Yes.
See, if you're not even sure, that's a bad sign.
I don't remember.
Like if you're a football player and your name is
CJ.
Hyde, that's not a very positive thing.
Well, I think to answer the question, new coaches cannot pose a threat because they haven't shown that they can actually win yet.
They cannot pose a threat.
Yeah, so Kylo Shanahan, he cannot pose a threat to the Seahawks until he shows that he has an offense that he can build. He's never had to develop a quarterback in the way that he did at his previous teams. He's never had to build the defense. He's never had to build a corner.
Before.
He's worked with Hoyer before, but he's never.
Hoyer had a winning record.
We talked about this. He's like won
7
4
and
out of
6.
7 games.
7 and 6.
Okay, so he's a game above 500.
Yeah, he is.
That's not even a complete season.
It's on a completely different team now too.
And this team is so devoid of talent. Like this team is probably worse off than the Seahawks when Pete Carroll took them over.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Well, it's hard to say because we thought we had some talent when Pete Carroll took over, and all the people we thought were like worth keeping, he immediately got rid of.
But he
have TJ, who's your mama?
Yeah, and he cut him. That was the right move. But he kept certain guys that actually have been on the team. Like he resurrected Red Bryant, Brandon Mebane played great. Unger.
Red Bryant, I think he gets huge credit because like everybody's like, oh, that guy's done. He was never really going to pan out.
Yeah,
he got some good service out.
So Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch haven't done those moves yet to make me say like, wow, I'm really impressed with where this franchise is going. Their draft is not enough. The team that they have is not enough. They're years away from posing a threat to the Seahawks.
They come on quite Mike Barkley, like Matt Barkley.
The former,
the former one.
Another retread quarterback. So yeah, the team doesn't pose a threat. If you're a 49ers fan, their stadium was completely empty at the start of the second half. I mean, that's how bad they were getting blown up. I heard it was super hot.
To start the game?
Apparently there was bad traffic, which that's a problem apparently in Santa Clara. The weather was really bad. But if those are the kind of things that are keeping you away and you've got a bad football team, that's a bad combo.
Apparently it's a really bad seem to be like in September because of where the sun is or something. I was reading this. It's just like when I was in San Diego.
So my friend Matt W, he is from the Bay Area. I talked to him this past weekend and asked him like, hey man, how's your 49ers team? He didn't have a lot of positive things to say. I asked him, well, at least you got that new stadium, and it was like, that stadium got ranked like average, and it's only like 4 years old. Like that's pretty sad.
It's a failed franchise with a failed stadium and a failed town
with a bad owner, and that's a bad combo.
My friend was like 15 to 1.
They should have moved to L.A. Let the Chargers stay in San Diego.
Yeah, they should have, but it's been a weird NFL year with those teams moving.
Yeah, they can't move because their team name is too geographically too specific. Nowhere else makes any sense.
No, they'd have to change the name and everything.
Hey, the NBA can have the Jazz in Utah. They can have the 49ers in LA.
They can just switch up some digits. They could go to LA and be the 69ers. They could be like a porn thing.
Yeah. Anything's possible.
Have you watched the NFL? They barely let you celebrate.
They're letting them celebrate again. That's weird. Is that not weird to you guys?
It was weird. I was like, oh, they're going to call a flag. Oh, wait, never mind.
And I think that the players are like, they have like this pent up, like, oh, I've been waiting to be able to do this on the field. And I think now the players are going overboard.
The players are so dumb. Like they've got this right. So like on the next CBA, they're like gonna they're gonna consider like that as the owners that are celebrating now. So now we're not gonna ask for this or that or that. they're so dumb. They're just going to give up something because
They didn't negotiate it. Whatever. It
doesn't matter. Like when it comes, like, oh man, they're so bad. CBA, they just got so messed up on. Even the thing they thought they won, they actually lost. Like, oh, we got less practice time. Well, now you guys all suck because you're not practicing in bad.
All right.
No two-a-days, really.
We got some Tony. Thank you very much. If you're listening, sorry we can't see any chat, but thank you for being a fan of us. Brian, if you're listening, thank you for being a fan as well. So we got an update on some fantasy. So we had only Zeb from our podcast league won last in our fantasy league. I lost. Ross lost.
I lost.
No, someone carried a win.
I think I did.
Oh, my apologies. Ross carried the win. Zeb and I failed.
I didn't have to look, and I know I lost.
I did pretty
scored like
pathetic.
11 points, man.
I scored 12 points. On the three-step drop side, they went 2-1. They had a head-to-head, so they beat each other. So they had to go 2-1 at the best. So just to update, but real quick, we'll do one update before we carry on. But you guys get burned by any injuries or bad plays or bad drafts in any of your leagues?
Yeah, David Johnson.
Anyone who had David Johnson got burned?
I did. I got him on an auto draft. I have 3 leagues, and I auto drafted all of them. I barely looked at it.
Next year you wake up in time for the draft.
Well, I didn't wake up in time for it.
The next time you turn the computer on or whatever, download that app.
He got an A grade. We can't judge him too hard.
Yeah, I can.
What about you, Russ? You have any?
Yeah, you know I did. Andy Dalton. I was the smartest man in the room. I was all proud of myself. I did all my research and.
It was a bad week for ginger quarterbacks.
Oh man, I got burned. I waited till like the 10th round in most of my jobs to draft a quarterback. The 10th round, and I was like, I'm totally fine. Because I'm going to draft Andy Dalton. Had a really bad year last year, but normally when there's all those tools, he's like a top 10 statistically fine quarterback. So he's going to be freaking awesome. So I drafted him in all my leagues, and I started him all in one of my leagues. And he got me, depending on the scoring system, between 1 and -4 points for my quarterback position.
Ooh, nice.
But here's why I actually have drafted so far this year, as opposed to last year. I was the worst person in the world. Despite getting between 1 and -4 points in for my quarterback position, I won 5 out of 7.
Well, there you go. That's much better than I did.
Actually, yeah, I did.
I went 1 for 4. And the one league that I did win, it's because I won in spite of the fact of losing David Johnson. But I made a trade to acquire David Johnson before the draft. So I had the 3rd pick. My friend Dustin had the 1st pick. I offered him swapping first, so I moved up 2 spots to number 1. I gave him my 3rd, and I received a 5th. So I was drafting 1st pick number overall, no 3rd round pick, extra pick in the 5th. I was actually very happy with how I did because I got the guy I wanted. And it's the non-PPR league, so I didn't really love Antonio Brown at the 3rd spot. But the injury definitely burned me. Now, I won in that league, so it's not terrible, but it's not good for my future.
Fantasy football is the worst.
The worst.
Hey, man. I mean, you still wear it. Like last year in the first week, remember, I had Adrian Peterson, Keenan Allen, and they both got knocked out the first week, and then started Danny Woodhead, and he got knocked out the second for the whole season.
Yep.
And then I lost Eric Jenkins the season. So
I'm in an 8-team league, and all the teams are just stacked.
Are you playing double quarterback?
What's that?
You should play like double quarterback, quadruple running back, and like quintuple wide receivers and 2 tight ends.
Yeah, we can play a QB at the flex spot.
What?
Because I think the people who run this league don't know anything about football. It's
That's
like
awesome.
a friend of mine who works at a hospital, and it's all her hospital friends.
That's awesome.
So you're going to dominate.
No, I always lose still. I'm terrible. I'm awful. I don't deserve to be speaking into a microphone about football.
You can start like Rodgers and Breeze, man.
Yeah, right.
And they're all like,
No, I got Russell and Cam. Cam
did okay.
auto draft too, by the way. I didn't pick those guys. Contrary to what somebody like Austin Slater or Peaches and Regalia might think. Because everyone picks the black quarterback.
There's only a few to pick from, so. All right, let's do some predictions real quick. So,
Jesus.
Who scores more, Seahawks defense or San Francisco offense?
I don't think the Seahawks defense is going to score anything, and I don't think we're shutting them out. So San Francisco offense.
Ross?
for like an hour, like Mr. Positive. And now we
No, see, you're reading it. You're reading it all wrong. That's the thing.
Well, I don't want to read.
He wants you to be like super saccharine positive.
Well, you're throwing in the towel pretty much, right?
No, not
That's
at
what
all.
it sounds
I'm
like.
just
Oh, well,
saying. I'm
let's
just
let me
saying.
answer the
Like the
question. Let's see
offensive
where it
line
goes.
is bad.
It is. It's terrible.
Bad situation, man. It's
San Francisco's line's
Worst I've seen.
it's
as
never
bad as
gonna-
ours.
I think the defense actually is going to score.
Ooh.
I think we're looking at sort of like I think the defense. You said like we talked about earlier, they're going to resent the offense. I don't think they're going to resent the offense much, but I do think the defense is going to start to develop this mentality. Not like we resent them, but like it's on us. We got to score. We have to score this time.
We have to give them the ball at the one, if not score.
Yeah, I mean we got to we can't do like we did last year and just kind of hope to have an efficient defense. We really need to we really need to create the turnovers. We really need to push it. We need to take some risks. I think it'll pay off this week. I think they're just going to score a touchdown. They might even score.
That kid Nas should have had a touchdown last week. God
He
damn
should
it.
have.
Yeah, that was just garbage.
Let's count it anyway.
all right. So I'm gonna go with Ross. We're playing at home. First home game. I'm actually going with my dad. I'm super excited.
I'm going. I'm
Ross will
going with
be
your
there.
mom.
You guys actually believe that the defense is going to score more points?
They just have to score
Not
one
more. No,
touchdown.
I don't think they're going to.
I think I think they're going to score more because I think that the San Francisco's not going to more than 6 points.
I wouldn't be absolutely shocked, but I don't think it'll happen. I think the Seahawks defense will probably score 14. But
All right, here's
I think the 49ers can score.
Here's a better question for Ross then. So question number 2. We know Zeb.
Picked on today.
Who scores first? Seahawks defense or Seahawks offense? And we'll count special teams as Seahawks defense.
Offense.
Offense?
I
Zeb
think the
thinks.
second half.
All right.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, the defense could score, but it's not likely that they're going to score. That's not their job necessarily. So,
Hey, you don't tell them what they can and can't do.
I do expect the offense.
Why
to
can
score
Wonder
some
Woman's
points.
flying now? That's not realistic. Why she had to jump a few minutes, and why is she flying?
All right. So here's a question. I don't even know if we answered this last week, but how's your season record for the Seahawks changed? So they lost in Green Bay.
We didn't answer last week because it was 0-0.
No. I mean, we didn't project what they were going to be for the season.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think. I don't think we projected that.
What did I end up going? 12-4, I think.
I don't think we actually projected what we thought.
Well, I think earlier in one of our off-season casts,
when we were
gave
really
a
early,
prediction. Yeah.
very
I'm
premature.
pretty sure you guys said 13-3, and I said 0-16, right?
I feel like I was thinking 11-5, and then I looked at the schedule and I thought I don't see 5 losses there, so I said 12-4. That's what if I remember correctly, I think that's what I said, but I could be wrong.
How's that changed then?
No.
All right.
Week 1 is not enough for me to change how I think the season will go.
Ross says they're going 0-16. How's
I
your?
don't say they're only 0-16. I don't remember us even talking about that.
That's why I don't think we talked about it until.
How do you have
way
a
back.
completely false memory?
No, it's real. It happened. It for sure happened.
So we didn't plan Inception
wait,
style in his brain.
I think you had that conversation with Jose Cuervo.
He doesn't know nothing about American football.
Jimmy Bean, what did he say? I don't know. I felt like September 1st. I felt like this is like a 13-3 team, like home field advantage. And today, I just don't know.
All right, Ross is unsure.
I just don't know.
I'm gonna say
I'm just unsure.
I probably, if I were to try and think of what I would have predicted last week, probably would have been like the 12-4 camp. I'm still holding steady to that.
You're so pessimistic, man. Last week they were 13-3.
13-3, 12.
But you were like, oh, well, Joko. That'll probably cost us a game.
Yeah.
I still think we go better than 10-6.
Oh, for sure.
How many ties?
0.
No ties. this year.
Get those ties out of there.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I got it. I'm going 12-4, but
How's that changed?
yeah,
How can you go 12-4 after all this
because I was
moaning
13-3.
and groaning you've been doing?
Because you're such a persuasive speaker.
Ooh, bullets flying.
No, I'm not. I mean, like I say, I'm upset. I'm upset, and
This is like the angriest 12-4 you're ever going to hear.
Yeah, it is. I'm upset because it's not ever fixed, and I said earlier, I feel like there's a philosophical reason behind it. I don't think anymore. I don't think it's like I can't blame the players anymore. Like Joko is Joko. Joko didn't put out an ad in New York Times and claim he was the best left guard ever. Everybody knew the book on him. He was a failed bust, and we were like, oh, here, have $8.5 million. please play left guard for us, and we'll just assume our line's better now and fixed. And like I fell for it. None of us thought we were awesome, like the best line ever. But last week we were all like, yeah, it looks reasonable.
No, we thought Jokel was going to be a good player on our line.
Right.
That's why they went and got him.
Right.
We didn't think we were going to destroy it in the manner in which we did.
We thought we were going to be a decent line, and maybe we still will be, because like it's football. You get a very small sample size. It could just be like that's the one game that's really, really bad. Like the Mariners win games sometimes.
That's what I'm holding on to, is that it's one game.
It was a tough game. It was
Things
a tough,
will get better.
I
tough
think
location.
I'm just really, really afraid of the trend. We're like, it's just, they should have an awesome offense. They
Russ
should.
is tired of waiting.
I'm waiting for
Ross
it.
is tired of waiting, and I think Russ is probably tired of waiting.
Yeah, like I went to we went to 2 Super Bowls in a row, and I want that feeling. I want to win in the NFC Championship.
You know who else
game.
went to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row? Did exactly what we did? The goddamn Rams.
That doesn't count.
We're the Rams if we don't get back there and win another one ASAP. Do we want to be the Rams?
Pressure's
this
on.
is like something I wanted to bring up and I forgot. We're talking about the defense and how they feel. Don't you feel like a little bit like we are wasting a historic defense?
Exactly. Yeah. And my brother Joey has said the same. I mean, he's very angry during games.
It's better than the '85 Bears, because they kept it together really, really for like 1 year, and then 2 more years.
No, we're talking about a 5-year stretch.
5 years
of
where they're
being
just historically
the best
good,
defense.
and we're not doing anything with it anymore. We're just like, we barely beat the Minnesota first round because Blair Walsh Project barely missed a field goal.
Yeah.
Yoink.
So
Kicking field goals for
we're
us.
wasting it.
All right. Predictions.
More predictions. Let's do this.
Who starts at running back?
Carson.
Fired. Rawls. Interesting. Who do I want to start, and who will
I
probably
want
start?
Carson to start. I just want to ride Carson, but I think it's going to be Rawls. I think Rawls does deserve a
He does.
shot.
It's true. He does. I'm changing my answer. Rawls.
I think
Carson.
I will say the person that looked the worst out of all the running backs was Process. He did absolutely nothing.
But he didn't look worse than Lacey. They both did.
Lacey looked bad because the blocking looked bad. I'm not going to blame him
But
for
the
bad
reason they
blocking.
got it was because they're like, oh, he'll be like Lynch, doesn't need any block.
But that goes into
Sorry,
the
do your
personnel.
job. Do
They have the
your
wrong
job.
personnel for
Do your job.
the philosophy. That's my
Belichick
take.
says, do your job.
Process needs to. It's not his fault. Like, we need to use him right.
How do you use process right?
Get him out there.
He has to line out at wide.
Get him the
receiver.
ball where he's not going to be smothered by defensive linemen.
Should he have started?
No.
No, wait, no. I don't mean it that way. I don't mean overall. Did you see the first play of the game?
Yes.
First play of the game, who blew it? Carson blew it. Carson ran the wrong route. If he runs that wider, that's a complete pass.
That's what everyone says.
And it's true. Watch it. And so it's like so if you put.
I'm not doubting you.
I'm just saying. So if you put Procise out there, the guy you actually have to do that kind of stuff, then that's a complete pass, and then like the whole tempo of that first drive changes.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
should Procise have just started? Yes.
But he probably also hasn't been healthy, and that makes him so
He was healthy enough to
unavailable.
play on third down. He was healthy enough to play 2 downs early. It was like a minute and a half before.
As much as people want to hate on Alex Collins last year, who's no longer with the team, is the dude was healthy. That means he got to play.
Could you please hate on Alex Collins a little bit? Get him keep the program.
He's not on the team anymore. I don't care. All right. Who starts at cornerback? Opposite Richard Sherman.
Cornerback?
I think they'll go back to Lane. He didn't deserve to be kicked out of that game. And I don't know if he had been better than Shaq, but they started him, right? So
I think they both start because the 49ers are going to start with 3 wide receivers out. So it's going to be Griffin. But if there's only 2, it's going to be Griffin.
Oh, okay.
Richard Sherman wants to do this.
I see you're Griffin, and I raise you a Coleman.
Richard Coleman. I'm sorry. If Coleman's on their starting, we're in trouble.
I want to say that I was very impressed with Coleman and with Griffin. I thought that was a very, very good showing for them. Lane will probably start because that's just been the vibe throughout the year. If they start with 3 wide receiver, he'll slide inside. Griffin will come out. But they looked good. They looked good enough where they were not a liability. They were not the reason why we lost. That one touchdown that Aaron Rodgers threw, that was just bad preparation on the defense as a whole and the coaching staff not being ready.
We're waiting for Griffin to finally get a pick.
Dude, he turned his head around. That's so much for me.
It is. But a couple of years ago, I can't remember. It was I forget who it was, but It was because like Richardson was one side and Rodgers wouldn't throw there, so he kept throwing at the other cornerback all day long. And so finally, like in the fourth quarter, the guy intercepted a ball finally.
Probably
Was it Maxwell?
Yeah. And like everybody was just like, see.
But that was like, so the game where Rodgers didn't throw to Richard Sherman was the one of two games where the Seahawks scored more than 15 points. That was the home opener after winning the Super Bowl. That was a long time ago.
Feels like 100 years ago.
It does, especially as long-time suffering fans.
You guys, like, isn't it sad that you just like thinking about Russell Okung like with nostalgia? Man, remember when?
Yeah, that 2013
awesome.
line, thinking back now, you're like, God, I'd kill for that line again.
For real.
Can you believe they let Bruno Giacomini go for like $1.75?
We got a lot of topics we can talk about. Who on the offensive line do you wish you could take back to? It's like a jilted lever. Take me back. Take me back, baby.
One's not enough. That's the problem.
I think you just want Breno back. Like Okun he was hurt a lot, right? Breno was never hurt, but he was good for one like offensive.
I would take Okun, Carpenter, Unger, McQuiston, Breno right now. Like
you know the guy from The Mask?
What didn't he have a twin? He still does. They're not dead. He still has a twin.
I think I want Breno Giacomini just like to like put like the emotion back in like the line.
Yeah, he's the Jeremy Lane of the offense.
He was like good for one like unnecessary roughness penalty a game as he's an offense.
Well, it's a fine line. You got to get them angry enough to want to punch you.
But he's not even close. They're like 30 seconds after the play, he'd be pushing somebody down on the high side,
crushing a guy's head.
Just like doing like WWF stuff out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, WWE.
Shoutouts.
Tony's dad.
Thank you, Tony's dad. And Tony.
The owner of this building.
Phil.
Owner Phil. Shout out to Joe Guns. Check out Triple B Podcast.
That person who's the person who told us what restaurant to order next. Some guy told us what food. We ordered food from some really crappy place.
Yeah, Uber Eats sucks in Portland.
Yeah, I was going to say this. They delivered our food by walking there.
Yeah,
they walked over here with their food.
Well, I've never had that happen before. But
they walked their food here and then like didn't bring half of the stuff. And
where'd you order from?
I don't know, something that showed up on that.
Some fake Thai thing.
I blame them. It was pretty good.
I should have been there for you guys.
Scoop is the Thai guy in our thing, so the food wasn't good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Shout outs to my coworkers. Thank you guys for always checking us out. Check out hawkscast.com. Let's see.
Definitely hawkscast.com.
We
check out Dr. Tongue's. I had that shop.
Oh yeah, we went to a bunch of toy stores.
Go to StarWarsStore.com as well. Awesomest, coolest Star Wars store ever.
Even though the last time I was on StarWarsStore.com, the website did not match the store that we were in, so I don't know if they've got that worked out yet.
Well, that guy seemed like he was a very awesome guy. The owner of Star Wars.com or whatever in Happy Valley in Portland.
Star Wars store in Happy Valley.
Yeah, he's really, really awesome, but he does not. He seems a little bit afraid of the internet. Just a little bit. He was like really, really like emphasizing like I don't read the internet.
That's why nobody knew that store existed.
Right?
You've been there for like 7 months by the time I finally.
It's the coolest Star Wars store ever, and like nobody's been there. Like, but yeah, it was awesome.
Predictions for the score this weekend.
No time for predictions. Go Hawks.
No time.
Go Hawks. Okay. We have to drive back for 3 hours. By the way, we should do this every time. You are so much better live. Like you're so more interactive.
That